Yo, how's it going, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of the Boruto anime. We're going to be covering episode 206 in today's review, and this is the beginning of the new Team 7 versus Boro battle. So this episode covers the end of Chapter 39, all of Chapter 40, and most of Chapter 41 of the Boruto manga. And since this episode is covering manga content that I've already covered in the past, I'm not going to summarize the episode, but I'm going to be, like I did with last week's episode review, just talk about some of the major differences between the anime and the manga, and how I feel about these differences. And I also want to talk about the new opening and ending, because, there's some interesting things to talk about the new opening and ending, so, yeah. Anyways, before I get into the review, I just want to say if you're new to the channel and you like this type of content, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. It would be pretty awesome if you did that. Alrighty, let's get on to the review, shall we? Okay, so let's talk about Opening 9 for a second. So, Opening 9, which is performed by Chico with Honeyworks. This opening, in my opinion, wasn't as good as the previous two openings. I mean, I'm not saying that the song was bad, but I preferred the previous two songs, especially Opening 8. I think actually that's my favorite opening now. At first I was like, okay, Opening 7 was the best opening, but after I listened to Opening 8 a couple times, I'm like, yeah, I think Baku is my favorite opening for Boruto, for sure. But this opening is still pretty good, but I have to say, this opening spoils quite a lot. I mean, the last two openings did the same thing, but there's quite a lot of spoilers, and these are some major spoilers coming up. And this tells me that, yeah, we're getting basically the end of the Kawaki arc at the end of this year from the manga. I want to say we're going all the way through at least chapter 54 or 55 by the end of this year. That's kind of crazy. And not only that, there was a scene in this opening that's straight from the manga after a certain event takes place. And I'm not spoiling it for the anime onlys, but my goodness, I can't believe they showed that. So we as manga readers, we're going to have to brace what's about to happen in the Boruto anime, because there's no going back from this, and I don't know how I feel about it, because I don't want to revisit it again, but it's happening, so, I mean, we'll cross that bridge when the time comes. But yeah, overall, I think that this was a good opening. It's probably I'd say, like, I preferred the previous two openings. I'd say it's on par with either opening 2 or, yeah, probably opening 2. Maybe a little bit better than opening 2. That's probably one of my favorite early Boruto openings, so I'd say this is probably my third favorite opening from the Boruto series. Next up, let's talk about the new ending, which is Ending 17 for the Boruto anime, which is titled Who Are You by Pelican Fan Club. It's a pretty decent song. It's definitely not my favorite ending. The last couple of ending songs I actually preferred to this one, but the visuals in this ending, it's very simple, but if you're a manga reader, you know exactly why they did this ending and what it's implying. Oh boy. But I like the fact that what surprised me here is Minato is actually shown at the very beginning. That actually took me by surprise. I thought that was pretty interesting. Then we see Kushina she's clearly pregnant with Naruto. We see baby Naruto, him growing up, and he's messing with the Hokage monuments, and eventually he's growing up himself, and he's a Hokage himself, and he sees his son, which I think is pretty good. But yeah, we know exactly why they did this ending, so not spoiling it for the anime onlys, but yeah, just like with the new visuals in the opening, be prepared, guys. Some heavy stuff is coming. Now, onto the episode. So the first difference I saw between the anime and the manga was actually something we knew about in the previous episode, where Sasuke was being healed, and Shikamaru already knew that Sasuke was in critical condition. He was taken out of it, thanks to Sakura and the medical team. Whereas in the manga, he finds out here that Sasuke came back critically injured. And it basically shocks Shikamaru even more, because now he's even more worried about Boruto and the others. So that's the first major difference I saw between the anime and the manga. For the most part, this episode actually basically faithfully adapts the manga for the most part. Like I said, for the most part. So the first major change between the anime and the manga is the fact that Sarada has a 2 Tomoe Sharingan in the anime version of this fight, whereas in the manga version, she has 3 Tomoe Sharingan. Now, obviously, the anime version, when it comes to Sarada's development of her Sharingan, is far superior to the manga, which we get no details and no lead up to Sarada getting 3 Tomoe Sharingan. It's like, boom, she has 3 Tomoe Sharingan. We just have to accept it. No development towards the 3 Tomoe Sharingan in the manga. She just has it. Which, that is disappointing. But this is where the anime can fill that in and actually explain how she got the 3 Tomoe Sharingan. Which they seemingly were doing because she evolved from 1 Tomoe to 2 Tomoe Sharingan during the battle with Deepa, during the car actuation arc. So that was great. But I was expecting between then, maybe some of the manga content, and then maybe some anime original stuff or light novel content that would be adapted in the anime, which I was presuming would be adapted in the anime, that we would see Sarada's 3 Tomoe Sharingan, which is showed off in one of the light novels, which I think was the Sasuke Shinden novel. She had 3 Tomoe Sharingan during that novel, so I was expecting that to appear sometime before we got to this part in the anime, the Boro fight. But no, instead, Sarada just has her 2 Tomoe Sharingan, which is actually really disappointing in my opinion. I was expecting her to have 3 Tomoe at this point, and unfortunately we were not getting it right now. There is a chance that she might manifest it in the next episode, as it seems like there's a pretty good possibility that this could happen. But for this part of the episode, I guess part of the battle, I should say, it was kind of important for Sarada to have the 3 Tomoe Sharingan. Now, the reason why I say it was important for Sarada to have her 3 Tomoe Sharingan here is that after she rescues Boruto and Kawaki by throwing that boulder, which I have some things to say about that scene, so we'll get back to that in just a minute. I just want to talk about Sarada and her 3 Tomoe Sharingan first. But after they're hiding out away from Boro, Mitsuki having bitten Boro, he's actually got some of his dark mist within his body, and it's not really affecting him. His body's basically an antibody, so he's able to produce antidotes, which he applies to Boruto and Kawaki. Now, I will say I did like the fact that the anime version showed this off, whereas the manga didn't show Boruto or Kawaki being injected with the antidote. But I'm getting off track. But anyways, the one thing I thought was disappointing here was that Mitsuki was the one that identified the viruses. Like, he was the one that basically, like, yeah, they're viruses. And my body's an antibody, so I'm able to develop basically antidotes for everybody here. You know, I'm passing out vaccines here, everybody. Get one while you can, so you can face off against Boro. But anyways, all jokes aside, in the manga version, I actually prefer the manga version here, because in the manga version, Mitsuki's like, hey, Sarada, you know, I got some of that dark mist within my body. I'm going to release just a little bit of it. When I do, I want you to identify the dark mist with your Sharingan. So when Mitsuki does that, Sarada activates her 3 Tomoe Sharingan, and she's the one that actually identifies that these are viruses. I don't know about you guys, but Mitsuki being the one to identify everything here was kind of disappointing, and it kind of toned down Sarada's involvement here, even though she's made captain of the new Team 7. I would have preferred the anime to stick to the manga version here and explain that, hey, yeah, guys, I saw it. These are definitely viruses. And she saw it with her 3 Tomoe Sharingan, so yeah. The manga version in this case is actually superior to the anime version, in my opinion. And speaking of the manga version having aspects better than the anime version of this fight, yeah, here in the anime, Sarada just knocks that boulder, just punches it down, and it lands on Boro. And then she uses that time to save Boruto and Kawaki along with Mitsuki. Yeah, that was lame. Go back and read chapter 40. She takes like this huge chunk of the mountainside, not like a gigantic mountainside, I should say, but a huge chunk of this mountainside, and just tosses it and chucks it right at Boro. It looks so much better than the anime version, and I just wish that the anime would have actually animated this scene, because it was really cool in the manga. So this right here was another thing that I preferred in the manga compared to the anime version of this fight. It was just really lame to see this not get animated properly, and it's just, oh yeah, Sarada just punches this boulder down that's clearly a lot smaller than what we see in the manga version. So yeah, just another nitpick I have between the anime and the manga version. Now, one thing that I did like here compared to the anime to the manga version was the extra scene that was added when Sarada and Boro were talking, where Boro basically talks about, he alludes to his cult, and basically what he does to lure people into his cult. And this is something we suspected a couple episodes back when he went to that poor village and basically cured them of their illnesses. He was the one that was actually poisoning them and giving them the viruses and making them sick, and then he can heal them instantly, because that's his abilities. And he basically exposes here that, yeah, I'm the one that goes around and does that stuff. So he's basically admitting that he's a fraud, he's a false prophet. But at the same time, he's chosen by God, so he has to follow God's decree, even if it means doing a lot of bad things. Doing bad things that lead them to salvation, which is actually not really salvation. But I just like this whole scene. I thought it was really nice. It adds to Boro's character, because he just didn't have much character in the manga version. So that's one thing that the anime is doing better than the manga. So got to give props there. I actually like that whole scene. I wish they would have went into it a little bit more. Like, I know that he wasn't about ready to tell Sarda that, yeah, I'm going to do, reproduce the infinite Tsukiyomi. We're going to have that happen again. And that would have freaked Sarda out. She'd be like, what? Infinite Tsukiyomi? Tell me more. I need to know more about this. Obviously, that would have spoiled their plans even more. But, yeah. Anyways, the bottom line here is that I like this whole addition that the anime had here with Boro's character. It adds a lot of depth to his character, so that was pretty nice. Now, those were the differences between the anime and the manga version here. So overall, I found this episode to be okay. It's definitely not anything too exciting. This is just the beginning of the Boro fight. So expect the next 2 episodes to be better when it comes to action. Next episode, it's looking like there's going to be more action in the next week's episode. And then 2 weeks from now is going to be the big reveal. Not going to reveal what it is here, but something amazing is about to happen. And I hope that the animation for this episode is like on par with Naruto and Sasuke versus Jigen, because yeah, this is a big moment and it definitely deserves some high class animation. We need some good Sagia here, so hoping for the best when it comes to episode 208. But for this fight, obviously this is just a setup for what's to come. We're just figuring out Boro's abilities, what he's capable of, and his regenerative abilities, and how to basically counteract against them. The same thing happened in the manga version of this fight. The very first 2 chapters were just figuring out Boro and his abilities. Now, I'm curious to see how the next 2 episodes are going to go, because I know when these chapters were coming out, people were not liking the Boro fight. They didn't like Boro as a character. Obviously, he didn't have much character to him back then, and I'm glad that the anime has fleshed him out. But I just remember people just not liking the Boro fights until chapter 43 and the big reveal. So, I think maybe the same thing's going to happen here, where people are, okay, this fight's okay, this is just build up, and then the big reveal happens, and then, yeah, people are going to go crazy. I'm curious to see how crazy that's going to be in 2 weeks, and how big that's going to blow up on the internet. Just saying. But overall, for this episode, I'd say it's maybe like a 6 or 7 out of 10 episode. Just a decent episode. I'm expecting next week's episode to be better than this week's episode. So, yeah. Anyways, that's all I got for this episode review. So, guys, in the comment section down below, post your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What do you think of the differences between the anime and the manga version? Post your thoughts down below. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I'll see you guys later. Have a good day or night wherever you're at. And if you're in America, happy 4th. And yeah, see you guys later.